All right, everyone. Today's Tuesday, August 30th. You're going to start with your warm-up, which is Technical Tuesday on No Red Ink. Then for our study today, we're going to take some text evidence notes. And then for our create, we're going to go back to our worksheet on Super Patriot and find evidence to support our connection. And then for our share, we're going to go through the text evidence checklist in our notes together. So first, let's go to our No Red Ink warm-up. You'll go to noredink.com, log in using Google, and get started on the assignment called Technical Tuesday 8:30. When you finish that early, you can do an activity on the what do I do when I'm done. As you guys work on that, I would pause this video and hit play when you're finished with this warm-up. Okay, at this point, you should be finished with your warm-up and you are now on the study. Please make sure you receive a handout from the substitute teacher for your text evidence notes. Your notes should be on paper. I'm just going to fill these out for you on my iPad on Notability. So just follow along. Make sure you have a pen or pencil to write with in these blanks. Okay. So we learned about text connections, how to make text-to-text, text-to-self, text-to-world connections. Now we have to prove our answers. We have to provide text evidence to support what we're saying. Why do we do this? We use evidence from the text to prove our answers. How? We do this with direct quotes from the text, not just dialogue. Okay, a direct quote from the text, you use quotation marks, and that's why it says not just dialogue, which also can be found in quotation marks in a story. What does that mean? A direct quote is when you use the exact words the author wrote. A direct quote must be inside of quotation marks. These are quotation marks. You need to make sure the quote actually answers the question and is meaningful. So when we use text evidence to prove our answers, we'll be using in-text citations. We cite our sources to tell the reader where we found our text evidence. We do this with in-text citations, which means citing the author's last name and the page number for your text evidence. Here is our in-text citation checklist. The citation comes after the quote. The citation is inside a set of parentheses. The citation includes the author's last name. The citation includes the page number for the quote. So you might still be very confused. What is a citation? What is text evidence? So let's look at this example. This is an in-text citation example from the book The Honest Truth. Just as her head made it almost all the way around, the picture changed back to the map. It still said missing child alert on the screen, but my face was finally gone. So what you see here is the quotation marks. So that is, this is the exact words from the book. Okay, so this part is our text evidence in direct quotes. And then this part, I'm going to change the color, green. This part is our in-text citation. So looking at this checklist right here, this in-text citation has, the citation comes after the quote. So this was our quote. It comes after, so that's good. The citation is inside a set of parentheses. These are parentheses, so that's good. The citation includes the author's last name. This is the author of The Honest Truth. That's his last name. And then the page number where we got this quote, which is 25. Okay, so this quote is text evidence, and this is our in-text citation where we found our evidence. This is just another checklist for you guys. So we're going to practice this. We're going to practice finding text evidence and writing an in-text citation on this next page. This is called The Bike Race by Sinclair Axelson. Stan and Daniel were the fastest bike riders in the whole school. They decided to have a big race on Saturday. Daniel put air in his tires, he oiled the chain, he checked the frame of his bike to make sure everything was just right. Stan did not do anything to his bike. His bike had cost 3 times as much as Daniel's bike. Stan thought that nothing could possibly go wrong. He laughed about all the work Daniel was doing while he watched a movie. Stan and Daniel arrived at the race the next day. Bob shouted, "Go!" The boys began to pedal. Suddenly, Stan heard a noise. The chain had fallen off of his bike. Daniel kept on pedaling and won the race. Okay, so we're going to answer these 3 questions. Which piece of text evidence shows what Daniel did to prepare for the race? So we need to find, when it says piece of text evidence, that means find a direct quote from the story that shows us what Daniel did to prepare for the race. Well, let's look at the story. What did Daniel do? He put air in his tires. He oiled the chain. He checked the frame of his bike to make sure everything was just right. I am going to put that in this box below in quotation marks. Now, on your paper, you don't need to write all 3 of these sentences. You can choose one of these sentences that shows how Daniel prepared for the race for this box. Okay, so it's a quote, so we put our quotation marks, and now we need to do our in-text citation. Remember, an in-text citation is the author's last name in parentheses and where we got this quote from, the page number. Well, we only have one page number since this story is very short, so this is page number 1. So in my in-text citation for question 1, I'm going to put the author's last name, which is Axelson, at the top. That's what it says. And the page number is 1, because there's just one page, period. Okay, this is how you provide text evidence. Okay. Now let's look at the question 2. Which piece of text evidence shows that Stan did not put as much effort in as Daniel when preparing for the race? So piece of text evidence, we know we're looking for another direct quote, and now we're looking at what Stan did. Okay, Stan did not do anything to his bike. His bike had cost 3 times as much as Daniel's bike. Stan thought that nothing could possibly go wrong. He laughed about all the work Daniel was doing while he watched a movie. Okay, both of these that I highlighted in pink shows that Stan did not put as much effort. He did not do anything to his bike, and he laughed about all the work Daniel was doing while he watched a movie. I am going to just take that first sentence I highlighted. Stan did not do anything to his bike. So I have my text evidence in quotations. It's directly from the text. And then I need my Axelson in parentheses, page 1, period. That's my citation. Perfect. Now let's go to the last one. Try to do this last one on your own and pause this video. And when you're ready to check your answer, you can press play. So which piece of text evidence shows why Stan lost the race? Stan and Daniel arrived at the race the next day. Bob shouted, "Go." The boys began to pedal. Suddenly, Stan heard a noise. The chain had fallen off his bike. Daniel kept on pedaling and won the race. Okay, the chain had fallen off of his bike. Axelson won. So hopefully in your answer, you put something of this nature. You put the chain had fallen off his bike in quotation marks, and then Axelson won in parentheses, period. This is the piece of text evidence that shows why Stan lost the race. If you wrote a different answer, go ahead and check with the sub to see what they think of your response and if it fits. Okay? This worksheet is going to go in the study section of your binder. So remember, study section is for notes and stories. This is some notes, so it goes into study section of your binder. You can go ahead and pause this video as you put this in your binder and then get ready to hit play when you're ready for the next set of instructions. Okay, we're done with our study for today, and for our create, we're gonna find evidence to support your connection with Super Patriot. So yesterday, you got this worksheet and you put it on Notability. You are now going to go back to this worksheet and you will complete step 2 on this worksheet, which is finding text evidence. You will turn this back into Schoology into task 3. So in Notability again, you're looking for this worksheet. So yesterday, we did this part of the rubric that you could describe a personal connection. You should have your personal connection in the step 1 box up here. Now we're doing this part of the rubric. I can use text evidence to support an appropriate response and cite it correctly. Now we understand what that means after our notes and practice from today. So we are going to do step 2. Find one example of text evidence to support your answer. Remember to copy down the text evidence word for word and use quotation marks around it. Okay, so what will be helpful for you is, since you're finding a direct quote that supports your connection, you need to have Super Patriot out next to you. We need to find a quote from this story that supports your connection. Okay? So what does that mean exactly? So for example, if my connection was a text to self connection I made with Super Patriot is that my mom once donated all of my toys without asking. This is similar to when the narrator finds out his mom donated the comic books to the hospital. So something of that nature. This is just my example. Remember, you should have your own answer here. So I need to find evidence from this story to support my connection. So I need to find a quote that shows that his mom donated his toys without asking. So if I remember the story correctly, I might have to go through it again. This part happens near the end of the story. And he says, a month later, I came home from school and discovered she had scooped them up, packaged, and sent them off. So I'm going to write that here. A month later, I came home from school and discovered she had scooped them up, packaged them, and sent them off. That's my quote. Now I need my citation, and that's the part with the author's last name in parentheses to show where I got this quote, that it's actually from this story. Okay, so I need the author's name, which is just Avi. He only has one name. And then I need a page number. So this is page 82. And this is page 83. And this is page 84. It says that on the bottom of the page, and my quote is from page 84. So I will write 84, period, like so. All right, so now you are going to do the same thing for your connection. You wrote a connection with Super Patriot. Now you need to find a piece of text evidence that supports the connection that you made. If you have questions, please make sure to ask the substitute teacher. If they don't have the answer for you, remember that you can also ask Mrs. Wise, Mrs. Keene, or Mrs. Bennett, which are the other ELA teachers for 6th grade. When you are done with step 2, so now your whole worksheet is done, you'll turn this in to Schoology. So you'll share a note, and you'll submit this into task 3, text evidence practice. Okay, I'm realizing now that we are not turning this in. There's not a submission. So